Some of you may wonder where this technology comes from and what it means. Now, in some ways, concepts like the Internet of Things have existed for about 40, 50 years. A lot of sci-fi novels talk about it. Star Trek sort of talks about it. There's really nothing new about it. But the term itself comes from an effort that I co-led at MIT about 20 years ago, which was in the space of radio frequency identification, RFID. Modern RFID comes out of a lab that we initiated at MIT called the Auto ID Labs. And in those days, when we were trying to put RFID tags on everyday things like a tube of toothpaste or a box of soap, people would ask us, why do you want to put regular things on the internet? And there's actually a colleague of mine, Kevin Ashton, who came up with the term Internet of Things. This was about the 98 to 99 timeframe. It's a nice term. It captures the attention. It also is very expansive, but in some ways it's also bred confusion. What is the Internet of Things? Why is it useful? Is it something you can buy? Is it a platform? Is it a technology you can bring home and apply? And actually, in my view, it is none of the above. And as I'll explain, to me, the Internet of Things is really a way of thinking. So let's do a little thought experiment. Let's start by thinking about, and in fact, this is an experiment you may want to do at home. Ask a 10-year-old, a child, point to a light switch in a room. Say, you see that light switch and you see that light bulb? How are they connected? A 10-year-old child will think about it and look at you and say, well, obviously, Wi-Fi. And you look condescendingly at the child and you say, no, the way we do it is we run a wire through the wall. It comes to the switch. There we make or break contact. That wire then goes through the wall to the bulb and then goes back down. In some ways, who is smarter? Is it the child or is it the way we do things today? The fact of the matter is that putting Wi-Fi on a switch is actually only $2. Putting Wi-Fi in an LED is less than $2. Yet, installing that switch on the wall is a several $100 affair. And now if the fire marshal comes to you and says, look, I need to move that switch to another wall, that's probably another several $100 affair. But if the switch simply had Wi-Fi and you used double-sided tape, it would be so easy. Disconnect it and move it over. When we say the Internet of Things, we think simply of connectivity. But IoT, the I could just as well mean intelligence. It could mean the intelligence of things. So now let's come back to our switch example. So you have a switch. Now the switch is connected to that light bulb, but it could also be connected to another bulb which makes the room perhaps brighter. So perhaps you tap the switch once and it lights this one. You tap it twice and it lights the other one. And 3 times, all the lights. Now that's really sort of decoupling the act of pressing a switch from turning a light bulb on. Now you can take it even a step further. Right now at MIT, it's sunny and there's some nice windows from which we're getting some glorious sunshine, long overdue. But just imagine if when I press the switch, instead of simply turning the light bulb on, instead, it went to an intelligent system that said, the lighting in that room is quite nice. And if you put any extra lighting, it should be yellow, the color of the sun, not blue, which is cold. So you could modulate the color, and you could do all sorts of other things. Now, this is what we refer to really as the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things, in summary, is not a technology, it is not a platform. It is quite simply a design language. It is a way for you to reformulate what we take for granted in the design of anything, whether it's a building or a car or a rental agency.